The girl woke up and sat up in bed murmuring to herself about the strange dream she had just experienced. Still trying to shake off the lingering fog of sleep, she glanced toward the wall clock and realized it was quite late and the boy still hadn't returned. She wondered aloud if he was really working late again. With a sigh, she lay back down and pulled the blanket over herself, staring at the ceiling. A small thought crossed her mind: maybe he had gotten himself a girlfriend. But then she frowned, doubting that he would even be capable of that. She reminded herself firmly that she had definitely told him about the PTA meeting. He should be coming today, she had made that clear. Her gaze returned to the ticking wall clock as if seeking reassurance in its steady rhythm, quietly reevaluating whether he would in fact show up. A notification appeared informing Jin-Woo that the penalty quest was nearing its end. Only 15 minutes remained in this place. Without slowing down, he continued to tear through the surrounding monsters with impressive speed and precision, landing critical hits with practiced ease. Another notification arrived, letting him know that he had leveled up, news that brought a rare flicker of satisfaction to his face as he stood surrounded by fallen foes. He quickly realized that leveling up in the penalty zone came with more benefits than expected. Not only did his health replenish upon leveling, but he could also use the store to restore other abilities. That changed everything. Soon after, another alert appeared. Only 3 minutes remained before he would be returned to the profession change quest. Jin-Woo nodded to himself, muttering that there was still enough time to get ready. He would have to do whatever he could to prepare, because the dagger alone wouldn't always be enough. Jin-Woo reflected on the fact that he would soon need a stronger weapon, something far more powerful than the one he currently wielded. With that in mind, he opened the pop-up store and began searching through the available options. Scanning the listings, he came across a dagger that caught his attention, a weapon capable of piercing even armored targets. That alone was enough to make it stand out. However, the price was steep: 2,800,000 gold coins. Jin-Woo hesitated for only a moment, then thought, why not? He realized that with a weapon like this, the battlefield would look completely different. The dagger possessed a unique effect, Night Killer, which would make facing heavily armored enemies significantly easier. He could already feel the advantage it would bring. Jin-Woo carefully wrapped a bandage around his arm, securing the dagger in place along with it. He thought that by doing so he wouldn't risk losing his weapon the way he had lost the return stone. Once the bandaging was done, he looked up with a steady, confident gaze. He was ready for whatever fight or outcome awaited him. He knew he had to try no matter what. In his other hand, he held an orange rune stone, the ruler's touch. It might just give him another chance in a critical moment. He remembered how the last rune stone he had obtained, the one from Kang Tae-shik, had helped him learn the disguise skill. But this time something felt different. He activated the ruler's touch, and instantly a stream of golden energy swirled around him. A strange new power awakened within. He could now move objects without physically touching them. Even better, the skill didn't consume mana, which made it incredibly useful. Jin-Woo recalled how the Blood Knight had once used a similar ability. Perhaps in some indirect way it was thanks to that experience that he now wielded this power too. He tested it on a nearby rock, but it didn't budge. Skill wasn't strong enough yet to move anything too large. Still, this was the final stretch, his last chance to prepare. He had done everything he could in those last couple of minutes, and now the rest would depend on his own luck. As the time ran out, Jin-Woo realized with clarity the penalty quest had been successfully completed. Jin-Woo returned to the very place where he had nearly died not long ago at the hands of a horde of armored knights. It was as if they had been waiting for his return all along. He found himself surprised to be back here, especially after enduring 4 brutal hours in the penalty quest. And yet this battlefield was even worse now. There were far more knights than before. Without warning, a swarm of monsters descended upon him, determined to overwhelm and kill their target quickly. But what they didn't realize was that Jin-Woo had changed. He had grown stronger. With his dagger in hand, he tore through the first wave of knights like they were nothing more than meat sliced cleanly by the edge of his blade. His eyes flashed with a cold blue light, his presence now far more formidable. He moved with confidence, wielding his new weapon with expert precision, cutting through the enemies that once terrified him. It was almost surreal handling these knights with such ease, as if he had never even dreamed of struggling. Jin-Woo could already tell the Night Killer effect on his new dagger was incredibly effective. Compared to the days when he fought barehanded, this weapon changed everything. For what felt like an extended time, he continued slaughtering the waves of knights coming at him, yet something felt off. He began to sense a strange stillness beneath his feet, something about the floor itself. Even after defeating countless knights, his level hadn't gone up. That wasn't right. He recalled how in the penalty area, every enemy he defeated gave him experience. Even the warlord Igris had contributed to his progress. But here nothing. Then it hit him: the healing effect was likely suppressing his ability to gain experience. A critical limitation he hadn't accounted for. Jin-Woo began to realize something didn't add up. The mages standing at the rear of the battlefield weren't attacking him directly, and the knights, it seemed, were intentionally drawing all the damage, acting as a living barrier to distract him. That in itself was strange. He narrowed his eyes, wondering what kind of magic those mages were using. Was it a debuff, a curse? Yet despite the situation, he still didn't feel anything affecting him. Then in an instant his gaze sharpened. A new thought entered his mind. What if this wasn't about curses or debuffs at all? What if it was summoning magic? The realization struck him hard. He began to piece it all together. The gates weren't just spawning monsters randomly, they were generating knights at fixed intervals. That was why their numbers kept growing. No matter how many he defeated, they gave him no experience. They weren't real opponents, they were summoned artificial constructs. Jin-Woo clenched his fist, strength surging through his body as anger overtook him. It no longer mattered how many of these knights he cut down. The only way forward now was clear. The summoners, the mages at the back, were the last to leave the gate, and they would be the first to fall by his hand. Jin-Woo reached one of the mages, his body already pulsing with magical power and combat instincts. As he struck, he realized with clarity, these mages were the true commanders of the battlefield. The knights were nothing without them. Upon receiving the blow, the mage instantly dissipated into a cloud of dark mist, leaving behind no loot, no remains, nothing of use. And then it happened. The moment the mage died, every knight under their control began to collapse, falling one by one like puppets with cut strings. Jin-Woo didn't hesitate. He immediately used his blade throw skill, targeting the next group of enemies. It became clear to him now that these knights had all been summoned through magical gates by the mages. The knights weren't independent foes, they were tools bound to the will of their summoners. But this wasn't over. Jin-Woo knew more mages were still out there lurking in disguise. He activated his disguise skill to blend into the crowd, hoping to gain the upper hand. At the same time, many of the mages began casting detection spells, searching for their target. He thought to himself that perhaps they had already pinpointed his location. But as their detection magic pulsed through the field, it had a side effect. They revealed themselves as well. Their disguises failed, exposing their positions to him. Jin-Woo's eyes scanned the field, noting that there weren't many left. Quietly, he dropped down into the crowd, disappearing among the throng of knights, calm and composed, already planning his next strike.